we are going to be talking about the single crochet stitch. So here you can see what it looks like. And for size reference, here are some double crochets that I have done. And if we compare, you can see that the single crochet is about half the size of the double crochet. It's not exact, but more or less it's about half. It's one of the most popular stitches that you can do. When you crochet, a lot of patterns will call for it. So we are going to learn it today. So the first thing that you're going to do is make a slip stitch, or a slip knot, I'm sorry, as you can see. All right, and so for this particular demonstration, I'm going to chain 11 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So the reason why I chained 11 is because I want my work to have 10 stitches. So when I chain, I'm going to chain 1 extra because that's going to kind of become my first stitch, sort of. Not exactly, but you'll kind of see as we go on. So when you stitch in crocheting, okay, you're gonna have a choice. So you can either crochet in this top little loop here, the bottom, or both. For chains, we typically always choose the top one just because it's a little bit easier. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stick my crochet hook in that top loop, okay? I'm going to wrap my hook around, and notice that I went from the back working to my right like that. I'm going to pull through, I'm going to wrap it around again, and I'm going to pull through both loops just like that. Okay, so now this part gets a little confusing if you're not really used to looking at crochet work. Okay, so here you can see I have the stitches that I just did. This is the chain that I just went through, so see how that hole's a little bit bigger, and this is my next stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip that hole there. I'm going to go into this stitch, so I'm going to stick my crochet hook in, wrap it around once, pull through, wrap it around again, pull through both stitches. So again, you can see this is the stitch that we just did. Okay, the big hole, that's the stitch that we just went through. Okay, so this is going to be our next stitch here. So I'm going to stick my crochet hook in, around, through, wrap it around, and through. All right, so I'm going to keep doing that. So in, around, through, around, through. And notice too, so when I crochet, I tend to crochet a little bit looser. So I will grab the yarn that I'm working with. I create the tension with these fingers. So if I pull it, it's more tight. If I let it just kind of be loose, then it's looser. I take that pointer finger, I wrap it around, and then with my thumb and my middle finger, I'll hold my work. So in this case, I'm kind of holding close to the stitch that I want to put my hook through. So same thing, around, through, around, through. All right, and the last stitch. So in order to build on this, okay, so before we do that, let's count our stitches. Let's make sure that we do have 10. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like we are good there. So what I'm going to do is this is called turning your work. So if you're right-hander and you're crocheting, you are going to crochet right to left, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1, chain. Now, this might differ depending on who you talk to. For me, what I like to do then is crochet into this next stitch here, okay? So this is my chain, that's my chain. This is my next stitch, okay? And here you have a choice. You can either stick your hook through the back loop, you can stick the hook through the front loop, or, and this is my personal favorite, you can stick it through both. I'm going to stick with the back because that's typically, when you see patterns, that's typically what they will have you do. And then I'll show you the difference here. So I'm gonna stick it through, wrap it around through both, down, both, oops, down, both. I'm trying to go kind of slow here just so that way you guys can see. All right, so we're getting towards the end. Now this part can be kind of confusing. So this is what I mean. You have this thing, which is, see if I can bring it up a little closer. So you have this guy, which is clearly a stitch. It makes that V shape. And then you have this little loop here. Okay, so the question is, which one do you pick? Do you crochet in both? How does that work? So the best thing that you can do is look back at your work and count your stitches. So here we can see that we have, so we don't, this is our little chain, so we're not going to include that little guy there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are at 9 stitches, which means if we want to make 10, we need 1 more. So we are going to crochet in that V-shaped stitch, and then that's it. We're not going to crochet in that little extra, okay? So same thing, we're going to turn, chain, and we are going to do it again. So I'm going to keep going with this. I'll speed it up here, and then I want to show you the difference between when you crochet in the back and you get kind of that ribbing effect, and then what it looks like when you just crochet through both loops. Okay. So here you can see I've done a few of the rows, okay? And you see how it gets kind of almost looks knitted in a way. So if you were going to make kind of like the brim of a stocking cap, this might be a nice stitch to use. If you were to go through both loops, so remember that would be going through both of the loops, wrapping it around, crochet. Both of the loops like that. Okay, so if you do that, you're going to get a look that looks more like this. So again, these are double crochet, so they're a little taller, but you can see the difference. See how this one, it looks like there's some front rows and then there's some back rows. And then if you flip it over, same thing, you've got rib. If you flip this over, it's still the same, it's very flat. I personally like the look of this, but really it kind of depends on what it is you're trying to make. So that is the single crochet. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you for watching.